think it's unrecognizable almost, Gary, in terms of the decision making, investment, the types of hubs being deployed. If you go back, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even more recent, this was all about growth. And it was about deploying and building networks in key areas. And that was the driver. Technology was maybe a secondary thought. Utilization was important, but not always the most important consideration. People needed to build networks. I think what we've seen happen really quickly over the last 12, 18 months is a transition to much more considered, much more careful deployment plans and profiles. I think we're seeing volumes reduce slightly and very strategic decision making around site selection, because ultimately it's all being underpinned by utilization. We know that. So that's really, really fundamental, and a consideration also to future development and expansion. So as Anne mentioned there, design, project delivery, but thinking about the operational piece, not just in 2, 3 years, but in 5, 6, 7 years is really key to people, and understanding then how they will operate that network, be it with fleet services or roaming agreements, or how they're going to manage the energy and looking at BESS solutions and solar and bidirectional energy trading. The whole thing has become a lot more complex, I think, and rightly so. It's not just about throwing chargers in the ground, which I think it was a few years ago. And some of those incumbent, more legacy CPOs now are maybe going back around their networks and redesigning them and adjusting them and tweaking them. But they're doing that now with consideration for what the demand might be in 3, 4, 5 years. And also just thinking a lot more deeply again around what drives utilization.
I think if I pick up on a point that you said there about the CPOs going round and sort of revisiting some of the existing sites, I remember when the very first quote unquote hub went up, which was at the Milton Keynes coachway, and it was 8 50 kilowatt BP, well, I think they were Polar at that time, with a lovely 3-disc canopy over there. That's gone, as far as I know. We've got to the stage now where we've built that, we've used it, and it's gone. People have moved on from that. So I think that's kind of indicative of where we are.
It is. And again, some of the investors, developers that we're working with at the moment are looking forwards. They're looking at demand profiles now and in 3, 4, 5 years, but they're making sure that the infrastructure that they're putting in can support different expansions and upgrades in the future. So whether that's bigger ducting, whether it's bigger substations, whether they're pulling in over-spec cables, they're allowing bay expansions, that consideration, I just don't think people had that 3, 4, 5 years ago, certainly not 10 years ago. So that's the difference now, but all driven by what will drive utilization, but making sure they're not locked in when technology changes, whenever that will be. Again, whether it's 5 years or 7 years, at some point technology will change and that infrastructure will have to change with it. And then making sure that they're in a position where they have the least amount of barriers they possibly could when they need to come back in and do that.